Assalamualaikum and hi. Welcome to our forum on the Spratly Island dispute. I am Iskandar Jizukana Arif Habinedi, your moderator for today's forum on the Spratly Island dispute. Joining me, our panelists. Let's start with the panel 1. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I am Nurhasha Alia as a panel 1.
I am Nur Ain Isati as a panel 2.
Hi, my name is Nur Wahida. I am panel 3.
Hi, my name is Nur Izzati Zahira as panel 4 in this forum.
Okay, thank you for introducing yourself. Before we begin, let's watch a short video to get a visual understanding of the Spratly Island dispute.
6 governments are directly claiming islands in the South China Sea. Among them is Vietnam, which claims a significant portion of the sea, arguing that the many islands and reefs were used by Vietnamese fishermen for centuries and were also formally incorporated into Vietnam during the French colonial period. Vietnam officially handed in their current claim to the United Nations in 2009 and was joined by Malaysia, who also handed in theirs simultaneously. Malaysia's claim in the South China Sea is based on UNCLOS and the Continental Shelf Principle, which is basically a way for nations to extend the exclusive economic zone. Simply put, this is done by adding up to 350 nautical miles of the continental shelf, meaning the submerged part of the land, to the EEZ. Malaysia's claim also includes a number of the Spratly Islands, where Vietnam and Malaysia overlap. Malaysia's argument here is that the islands were part of the Japanese Empire until 1945, after which it renounced its claims to the Spratlys and allowed Malaysia to annex some of them. Brunei's claim to the South China Sea is very similar, claiming a long rectangle up the southern edge of the Spratly Islands. But for decades, the biggest problem for the small sultanate has been defining its borders with Malaysia, although some progress has been made so far. The Philippines also lay claim on several islands they consider part of the Philippine archipelago, which makes their claim overlap with all claims mentioned before. And then we have the elephant in the room, or rather, the elephant and its small twin brother, the two Chinas. Firstly, there is the People's Republic of China, which claims the vast majority of the South China Sea for itself in accordance with the 9-dash line. The line originated in a slightly different version in the 1930s, when the government of the then Republic of China began drafting its territorial claims to the South China Sea based on historic documents, as they argued that past Chinese dynasties considered much of East and Southeast Asia to be part of their dominion. But soon after the line was created, China would be plunged into a disastrous war with Japan while fighting a civil war at the same time, which eventually the communist forces won. The new Communist People's Republic of China would go on to adopt the line as well, while the nationalist forces, which lost the civil war, retreated to Taiwan and brought with them the same territorial claims of the Republic of China, including the 9-dash line, which is why Taiwan claims the exact same territory. While claiming islands as your own territory is one thing, actually controlling them is another. If we take a closer look at, for example, who controls the Spratly Islands, we can see that the situation here is a confusing mess, with various nations controlling bits here and there. Some of these islands feature entire military bases, which makes one thing very clear. Controlling these islands is incredibly important to these nations. However, the number of islands is very limited, sort of like NFTs if NFTs were actually useful. Which is why in 2013, China developed the South China Sea equivalent to right-clicking and saving an NFT by creating artificial islands capable of sustaining large military bases and even deep water ports. This move of course heightened tension in the region and brought international media attention to it.
Okay, good. So, before starting our discussion, I would like to start with the question. Hasha, do you know what is the international relation means?
Sure, Iskandar. International conflict happens when countries disagree and fight over things like land or resources. These conflicts can cause big problems like making regions unstable, hurting global trade, and creating human crises. Groups like the United Nations often step in to help find peaceful solutions.
Okay, thanks Hasha. Now, let's focus on the Spratly Island. Ain, can you describe us the specific conflicts on this issue?
Of course, the Spratly Islands are a group of islands and reefs in the South China Sea. They are rich in fish and might have oil and gas. Many countries, including China, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Brunei, claim this island. China, Taiwan, and Vietnam claim to own all of the Spratly Islands because of their history there, while the Philippines, Malaysia, and Brunei claim part or all of the island because they discovered them, occupy them, and follow the international law. The dispute started in the 1800s but got worse recently because of the resources and increased military activities.
Okay, thanks Ain. Okay, Wahida, how about you? Can you tell us about the main issue involved?
Yes, Iskandar, for sure. So, the main issues are about who owns the island, who can use the resources and military activities. China has claimed that almost the whole South China Sea based on old map, but other countries will agree. They use international law to support their claims. There are also a lot of oil and gas, so countries want to control over these resources. China's building of military bases on the islands has made things worse, causing regional tensions and worries about the freedom of navigation.
Okay, well explained Wahida. Anyone among you guys, can you guys analyze this issue?
Yes, Iskandar, the Spratly Islands dispute is very complex. China used old maps to claim the islands, but these are recognized by international laws. According to UNCLOS, which stands for United Nations Convention of the Law on the Sea, countries have rights to resources within 200 miles of their coast, but China's claims overlap with others. The South China Sea is a busy trade route, and the conflict affects global trade. China's military presence has increased tensions and drawn in other countries like the USA, making the situation more dangerous.
Okay, good. Thanks Zati. Who knows how this issue affect teams?
I can answer that, Iskandar. The Spratly Islands dispute makes trading in the South China Sea harder and more expensive. This sea is really important for trade, bringing in over $3 trillion worth of goods each year. For example, imagine a ship trying to deliver goods from Malaysia to China. Because of the dispute, the ship might have to take a longer route, which costs more money and takes more time. This can slow down trade between Malaysia and other countries, which isn't good for our economy.
Okay, thank you Hasha. Ain, what other impact can you tell us about other than Hasha tell us?
In my opinion, there are more soldiers and weapons around which can lead to the fight. China, for example, has spewed the military stuff on some island its control, making other countries worry. Past fight between China and countries like Vietnam over the island have caused a problem. This can lead to the fights that nobody wants and makes things unsafe here.
Okay, I get it. Anyone to tell more about the impact?
I think this issue affects the country involved. People don't want to invest money in places with fight, so projects that help country growth can create jobs can be delayed. This can also slow down how fast a country economy grow, and also when a country has to spend a lot of money on the time of fight, it can focus on other important things like building roads, hospitals, and schools.
Okay, good. Thanks Wahida. Izati, anything you want to say?
I don't have a point for the impact. Just summarize what they say. The Spratly Islands dispute makes trading harder, increases the risk of fights, and slows down to the growth of countries involved. It's really important to find a peaceful way to solve this problem for everyone's sake.
Okay, good. Thank you for all your explanation. The Spratly Island dispute has a big impacts that need to be dealt with we begin to deal with the region to be safe and grow. Izati, you are right. It's crucial to find a solution. Let's discuss possible solution now. Anyone, what can be done to solve this conflict?
I suggest taking to the issue to the International Court of Justice for a binding resolution. The decision to bring a case regarding the ownership of the Spratly Island to the ICJ is advantageous as it offers a potential avenue for resolve the dispute through legal means. This will provide a legal framework for resolve the territorial dispute peacefully.
Why that's an option, I believe we should also consider negotiation. Direct talks between the countries involved could lead to a mutually acceptable solution without the need for third-party intervention. This can be seen through the complex issue of the enclave between India and Bangladesh, successfully resolved in 2015 through ongoing negotiations and population exchange. This example shows the potential for peaceful solutions to be reached even in seemingly intractable situations.
I agree with Harsha. Negotiation allows for flexibility and preserves the relationship between nations. However, if negotiation fails, we should be prepared to seek arbitration. An impartial arbitration could help bridge the gap and find a fair resolution. Arbitration offers a potentially effective means of settling the Spratly Islands conflict, according to the International Court of Justice, which is ICJ. This strategy depends on the claimant nations' collective consent to use their signatures on the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, which is UNCLOS, as leverage to jointly present the matter to the ICJ.
I agree with them. Negotiation is important as it allows for flexibility and maintains positive relationship between nations. However, if negotiations fails, seeking arbitration could be a good option. An impartial arbitrator could help find a fair resolution and bridge the gap between conflicting parties.
Okay, thank you for your thoughtful recommendation. This approach could be pave the way for a peaceful resolution to play a Spratly Island dispute. And to wrap up the Spratly Island dispute, it's a complex issue with a big impact on the regional stability, global trade, and the environment. And solving it needs something like diplomatic efforts, legal frameworks, and regional cooperation. And thank you for all your insight. This and our forum on the Spratly Island dispute. And that's all from me. Thank you so much for coming to our forum today.